In Wildgate, there are two ways to win. One is to escape with the artifact through the gate, and the other is to be the last ship standing. Probably around 80% of the time, the winner is the last ship standing, although the artifact's existence is still important, as it's a major driving force in making the confrontations happen. In this video, I will go through the dominant combat strategies that were used in the betas and what their strengths and weaknesses are. At the end, I'll give a vague strategy to live by, which got me a very high win rate, even though I only played with randoms. During the beta, I observed a few dominant tactics. The first is boarding to steal hardpoints and weapons. That's different from just boarding to harass them in general. 2. Focusing on using laser rams with clamp jets to close the distance. 3. Mine layers with tractor beams if possible. And finally, just gunning them down from a distance with powerful weapons while defending your advantage. There's no point of having a powerful weapon or hardpoint if your team isn't going to protect it. If the enemy ship's damage dealing potential revolves around particular items and you steal those items to use against them, then that is a massive swing in your direction. Once you have defanged them, you need to stop boarding at that point and focus on using your ship to kill their ship and to prevent boarders from taking back the booty. The main issue with a strategy that revolves around stealing is that the team doing the boarding usually need to have considerably better FPS skill than the team being boarded, and there's a number of ways that a not so skilled player can repel even highly skilled players. The best way to counter boarding is to keep your hull electrified with multiple shock fields, which are very common. The security device is helpful, but the crew needs to actually react when the alarm goes off and not just expect someone else to deal with the boarder. If you're not very competent at aiming for whatever reason, then you should probably use the auto aim guns to repel boarders. They're very effective, particularly if there's multiple people in one team using it. Also keep in mind that if they are wasting time on fruitless boarding efforts, you can take advantage of their reduction in manpower by manning the guns and shooting out their weapons or pilot. Make sure to avoid clown shows where all 4 members of each crew are engaged in boarding while the ships float lifelessly in space. Boarding should only be done if there's a specific purpose in mind. A lot of the time it'll be more important to keep the pilot and gunners alive while they do the damage which will actually win the fight. The laser ram is a very sought after hardpoint as it does massive damage and is one of the few ways to end the fight quickly, particularly against ships with massive health that have the artifact. If you have a smuggler's turn in addition to the ram, it becomes particularly fearsome as you can turn the ship fast, making it very easy to connect with the ram. Clamp jets are also helpful with this, as they can let you close the distance quickly, forcing the enemy to manoeuvre away, which impedes their ability to shoot at you. During the beta, a lot of teams didn't bother with the ship weapons after they obtained laser rams. Usually they would focus on using them as their primary damage dealing method, which freed them up for more boarding actions, for good or ill. Just having a laser ram disrupts enemies as it forces them to focus fire on it to keep it disabled, or to try and board to steal it, or they will focus fire on the pilot to try and keep them dead so that there's no one to steer the ram into them. It's best to keep the laser ram as hidden as possible until you're close to an enemy, and keep in mind that if they're competent they'll peek through the windows looking for it. When in a fight, if possible, move the beam around a bit to hit multiple systems and kill the pilot if possible. The problem with making the laser ram your primary method of dealing damage is that it's only really viable if someone is going to focus on keeping it repaired and keeping the pilot alive. If the pilot has to get off the steering wheel to go and repair the laser ram while the rest of the crew is off attempting to board or having a party, it just becomes a shambles, as it's impossible to both repair the ram constantly and steer the ship to connect the laser ram with the enemy. Your team really needs to be on board with your win condition being hosing them down with the laser beam. Because if they're not, the enemy team will just keep the ram disabled and they'll probably steal it at some point while everyone else is off doing different things. Many of the more experienced players from the betas are of the opinion that mine layers are overpowered, particularly when you have tractor beams handy. Mines, however, don't discriminate, and your own mines can be turned against you quite easily. As of the open beta, each mine layer shoots out 3 mines at a time and reloads every 15 seconds. Each mine can do up to 20 damage each. On top of this, they cause massive fires and damage ship components. Now, I do suspect the mine layers might get tweaked, as it's possible to one-shot enemy ships with them if they're oblivious to the dangers, but I hope they don't, as it gives the game more depth. The main problem with the mine layer is that the mines can be shot as they come out of the hard point and therefore might explode in your face, or the enemy might use a tractor beam to pull you into your own mines. Also, enemies might board your ship and push your mine layer at a very bad time. I would recommend that every time you find a tractor beam, you hold on to it in case you get a mine layer or you end up fighting an enemy that's using a mine layer. If your ship is more powerful, you need to focus on manning the ship and defending your advantage. In this situation, there isn't much point in boarding other than to potentially slow them down. When you have the advantage, the enemy has no choice but to try and board, to either keep the pilot and gunners dead, or to steal something to reduce your team's effective damage, or to slow you down so that they can then escape. The main way you can lose is by having multiple people go boarding rather than defend. The most common mistake is to be boarding the enemy ship while your own ship is being ravaged by boarders. If you can't keep the pilot and the gunners alive, then it doesn't matter what epic items you have. Although the entropy cannon is clearly the best weapon in the game, it's not insurmountable. Dual sniper cannons, for example, are extremely deadly and can take out ships from a long range before they even get near you. I would also say that the bomb cannon sniper combo is very potent as well, because you can hit ships with bombs and then detonate them from afar to deal massive damage. The bomb cannon can be countered by having someone repair the bombs off of your hull, although beware, enemy handheld weapons can set the bombs off as well. I think that as players get more experienced, we'll see wins by extraction become a lot more common. I think this will be due to teams getting better at saving important items until the end, particularly clamp jets, tractors and star lances. I think we'll see a lot more successful bomb pushes. At the moment, people just recycle bombs and don't try to plant them on enemy ships. In fact, a lot of the time they just leave them inside their own ship, making it easy for an enemy to come in and install it. But anyway, as for winning fights. First thing you need to do is scout the enemy using probes, and to try and look inside the windows to check if they're hiding any laser rams, mine layers or plasma beams. You need to identify the main methods of them damaging you and think how you can nullify or play around them. For example, if they have a mine layer, you need to stay out of range of it or be ready to shoot the mines the instant they come out, or be ready to tractor them into their own mines. If your ship is at a disadvantage, then you need to do something to fix that. In this scenario, it's okay to potentially have 2 to 3 people boarding while your ship flees away in the opposite direction until you've evened the odds. Although I am normally against it, sometimes a boarding clown show is warranted. If the enemy clearly is far more powerful and you have to fight them, then the only way you can win is basically to start a brawl and hope you come out on top and steal a lot of the good stuff. But anyway, that doesn't work if they've got shock fields. And finally, it's important to always be doing something. If the rest of the crew is manning stations, then you need to be the guy that protects them repairs components and hits the ice. There's nothing more annoying than having the enemy ship cold and then you all get shot off your stations while the fourth guy is trying to board them for some reason. If you're interested in Wildgate, then you might want to take a look at some of my other recent videos on the channel. If you want to get recommended more Wildgate videos from me, like and subscribe, otherwise you probably won't see them. Anyway, good day everyone.